Hey everybody, what is happening? We're back with another dose of economic reality. It is Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. We got a lot to get caught up on today. First of all, the stock market. People have been asking me, am I getting back into the stock market? Some of you have followed my trades here. And first of all, I don't recommend you follow anyone, including myself, for trades. It's good to get ideas, but do your own diligence, due diligence. Some people may be investing money that they can't afford to lose. So I can't screen everybody that's trying to follow my trades. So don't follow my trades. It's nice to hear people talk about what they're trading, and then you can look into it and see if it fits your financial plan. But definitely don't just trade what I trade just because I've had some good trades. And if you look back at 2024, trades were pretty good here. I didn't trade a lot. I think I only had 7 trades throughout the year. And I was looking back on this because I just had to report my earnings, in this case, for tax purposes. And it was a pretty good year for investing, even though I didn't trade that much. I traded in ones that were pretty much no-brainers, like stocks that ran up like 200%, and then we'd short them, or in this case, put down a put option and make some money off those. One I didn't do so good on, Dollar Tree, I lost a good amount of money on, but overall, it was a good year. But now I'm paying Uncle Sam for the good year that I had. But when it comes to stocks, I've said here over the past couple months, I'm stepping back. I even sold some stocks. Very low portfolio position right now in my stock investments. And here's why I haven't jumped into the markets yet. And I'm still in the markets. I have 401k. I still have some stocks I've been holding for years, like Walmart and some others that I've mentioned here several times. But the reason I haven't added to my position, even though we're past the November situation with the selection, even though we're past the implementation of the new administration, we're not past a lot of risk. All right, a couple things I want to point out here. The audits that are happening, we're being told that there's a lot of wasteful spending. Is it true? Is it not true? I think anyone watching this channel probably agrees or can believe the type of waste that's being uncovered. Now, is everything that's being talked about as being uncovered true? We don't know. We're not shown any proof. We're told what is happening or what they're finding. And those are just words. We're told that. Do we see any proof? Probably not. We probably won't see it. So we just have to believe what we're told. And we're told there's a lot of Social Security recipients that are 120, 130 something years old. Where's this money been going to? We're told a lot of money's being sent to overseas to special interest groups, and basically tax dollars being wasted for all these programs abroad that most people would not agree to give up part of their paycheck if they knew how the money was being spent. A bunch of crazy stuff like different programs, testing out different animals and stuff like that, testing out different things overseas, all kinds of crazy stuff. I can get into it. But the bottom line is money's being sent away in a lot of different areas, and there's a lot of fraud, and a lot of it's untraceable. Like we don't know where it's going, who it's going to, and where it's ending up. So how much of that money, if it is true that all this money is being sent out, how much of that was going into the stock market, right? Could there be special interest groups or individuals getting a lot of money and then putting it into the stock market? So with the audits that are happening right now, I'm stepping out of the stock market, or I'm not getting more positions. I'm not increasing my investments, put it that way. I'm not completely selling off because I always have some stocks that I hold on to. But the point is, I think there's a lot of risk right now. If we find out that there's a lot of money that was going into the stock market, and now these audits put a stop to that, will we see a stock market correction based on all this happening? And you have the cuts out of the government jobs, the federal jobs, and you have to ask yourself too, how many of these people were getting access to some of these funds that were sent to who knows where, and maybe they had some sort of insider connection where they were getting a lot of money. And instead of putting it in their bank account, were they hiding it in cryptos? Were they hiding it in the stock market? Or not hiding it, were they putting it in those places to avoid having it in their account? We don't know. So until some of this plays out, until we see what the effects are going to be, I'm, again, not going too heavily into new positions in the stock market, right? So let me know if you are also in the same mindset as me. But I think a lot of people are looking at this and saying, hey, we better just kind of chill, sit back and wait and see how this all plays out. And again, maybe all these accusations of fraudulent spending and at the least careless spending maybe some of this will be unveiled to be true, and maybe we'll find out it's a big nothing burger, right? But I think it's definitely more than a nothing burger. In fact, I think it's going to be pretty huge. But the thing is, we just don't have the actual proof yet. We're being told all this money is being wasted, but that's all it is. We're just being told that, right? But here's a latest example of some of the information that's being put out there. Doge finds 4.7 trillion with the T, trillion dollars in virtually untraceable treasury payments. This is out of Z-Hedge. This government efficiency agency revealed the finding $4.7 trillion in disbursements by the U.S. Treasury are almost impossible to trace thanks to a rampant disregard for the basic accounting practice of using tracking codes when dishing out money. And in some cases, they're not even putting in comments where the money is going to. And I think most of us can look at the national debt of 30-something trillion dollars, and we're looking at the amount of money that's borrowed or spent, however you want to put it. And then we're looking around, and everybody's in tons of debt, right? The infrastructure's crumbling. A lot of things need to be funded that are not, like the homeless crisis. And you ask yourself, with a nation with so much debt, why do we still see so many shortfalls in areas that are needed, like affordable housing, like different programs for homeless people, maybe tiny home villages, right? There's a few across the country. If you look around, you'll see some tiny home villages for homeless people. But with 30-something trillion dollars in debt, we should not have one single homeless person, right? And some people are not able to be helped. I understand that. They're strung out. They're all whacked out. I understand that. But for the most part, you would think a nation that's borrowed this much money, everyone would be out of debt. Everyone would have their home paid off. But the money isn't going to people that actually work. The money's going to other places, if you know what I mean. So continues here. It's not as if such a federal tracking system wasn't already in place. It simply went unused. So they had the capability of tracking this money. Somebody chose not to. That's what's being told. That's what's being, that's the accusation, right? This is allegedly. All sorts of payouts adding up to almost $4.7 trillion, which is unfathomable, without Treasury access identification codes. So now they're going to go in, they're going to audit this, and what will they find? And again, how much money was ending up back into the stock market, and how much will this affect the stock market? All right. Now, here's what has me leaning towards believing that a lot of these accusations are real and true, because there's people out there that have made a lot of money over the past decades, some cases more. They've made a lot of money, and a lot of people are screaming, and they're very angry at these audits that are happening. So if you have nothing to hide, why are you screaming? Why are you angry? Unless you think that the auditors are actually coming in to frame you or to make false accusations against you. And that's possible too. Who knows? With this environment of politics right now, the left versus right, people leveraging for power, anything's possible. A lot of this news about fraudulent spending could be fake, right? We don't know. Again, we don't know. And you may think that I'm crazy for even saying that. You may think, obviously, there's fraudulent spending. Yes, I think there is too. I'm just telling you, I haven't seen any actual proof. I've seen posts on social media. I've seen news articles, but I don't think you or I have actually seen any proof. So we just kind of have to get all the information, look at it, figure out what makes sense. And to me, what makes the most sense, that's the truth, and that's the reality. All right, but let's move on a little bit here. Obviously, the housing market, that's how a lot of our viewers found this channel, because the housing market news that we put out here, the housing bubble. One of the only channels here telling you that the bubble was not going to go bust, because we saw all the investment, all the big money coming into the housing market, the way that banks were able to loan out more money, even well beyond what led up to the 2008 housing bubble. We have some news here out of Los Angeles with the fire, destroyed homes destroyed by fires, over 12,000, I think closer to 13,000. Well, some of these homes with burnt down structures are going for $1 million. One person's fiery rubble and tragedy is another person's treasure. That's how they're putting it over here. And this was reported by Bloomberg. A home that has been reduced to rubble except 2 chimneys and a few block columns hit the market for $999,000 just 10 days after the blaze hit. And now it's gotten over 60 offers, folks. A burned, no structure, basically rubble. piece of land in Los Angeles, $1 million. And this is in a zone now which should be considered a high risk area. Whoever buys this, probably a big corporation, big investment company, whoever buys this, are they going to be able to get home insurance, right? And if a person buys it, they're going to have a lot of money to rebuild and pay for this home insurance. What's home insurance going to be now? $10,000 a year, $20,000 a year in this particular zip code? So I'm guessing it's got to be some big money, big investors coming in, probably a hedge fund, probably a multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation coming in, buying these properties to rent out, to rebuild a home, to rent out. So it's going to be more renters and less homeowners in LA. And it's already about 50% homeownership rate in California as is, even a little bit lower in Los Angeles. But this is going to be more institutions, more big money coming in, and getting control of more homes and property. And Bloomberg gives us a photo before and after of this residence. And there you can see $1 million home. There you go. $1 million. Is this crazy town yet, folks, or what? $1 million for that on the bottom. Absolute bonkers. Absolute bonkers. All right, moving on here, folks. Southwest Airlines. A number of layoffs here. Pretty good chunk here. 15% of its corporate workforce. We told you right here on this channel, you're probably going to see a lot of the upper level white collar positions eliminated. It's easier to replace those positions with AI. It's much more difficult to replace like frontline workers, people that talk to customers, with AI. Now they're trying to. Definitely they're trying to. They're trying to get rid of as many employees as possible. And if you think a company is going to keep you around even though you're not needed, then think again, because these companies are out for profit and that's it. They're not looking to help society as a whole or help people make more money. They're looking to make as much money as they can for themselves. We're talking about the people at the top, and they'll lay off as many people as possible if they can get away with it. And these layoffs out of Southwest, how much of this is because there's people pulling back on spending, on traveling? The airports still look pretty packed to me. So what it looks like to me is they found a way to just eliminate these positions, even though it's still very busy at the airlines. Again, last year we had record travel being reported. So the airlines don't have a shortage of customers. It's just that the fact that airlines and other companies are finding a way to get quote unquote work done without so many people to have to put on the payroll. All right, more firings, folks. The FDIC firing employees as part of the DOGE layoffs. Very, very interesting. The FDIC, folks. Several employees were hired from FDIC as the new administration continues its broader effort. Did I say hired? Fired. It rhymes. Hired, fired. Staff at FDIC, which monitors banks nationwide and backstops bank deposits via the insurance fund, were notified Tuesday of the firings in an email. How many employees? It was unclear. So people are seeing this in a couple different ways. Some people see this as very risky because you're taking away the quote unquote backstop of the banks, right? The FDIC was there to help a lot of banks along with the treasury, along with the Fed. Just in the past few years, we saw FDIC get involved in basically rescuing banks and rescuing depositors. And just think back to the one in 2023, Silicon Valley Bank. We know that FDIC didn't have hardly any money to cover the lost deposits. So they came in and just created the money with the central bank and with the treasury and basically paid off the depositors, right? So what's going to happen now? Does this put banks in more risk and depositors in more risk, right? Something else to be concerned about, to be cautious about. People at the FDIC being let go doesn't mean that the FDIC will not be there for the next big bank failure. I don't think anybody knows. We'll have to see. But what do you think about it? What makes most sense to you? That's what I would ask you to think about. Also, home builder confidence has plunged. Home builder confidence, the lowest level in 5 months amid tariff concerns and high mortgage rates. So with less building happening, right, less supply entering the market, will this be another inflationary force in housing? Will this prevent home prices from correcting further? We'll have to see. But we're going to see something. In order to see a big home price correction, we're going to have to see something major, similar to what we saw in 2008, where a whole bunch of banks are on the verge of failing. That type of fear, because right now there's no fear. The banks feel like they're always going to be backstopped and rescued no matter how many bad loans they put out there, right? It all comes back to the fiat currency, the fact that we can create endless amounts of money out of thin air. Therefore, there's no limit to the amount of loans banks can loan out because they know there's always the unlimited backstop there. Again, trillions of dollars at the click of a button. So this is how the bubbles remain inflated. Nobody else is really talking about this that I've been hearing. That's the backstop of it. That's the backbone of all this, folks. This high cost of living. It all comes down to the fiat money created on a digital screen out of thin air. All right, but as I've said here a couple times, well, more than a couple, for a couple years, really, many times I've said that ultimately we're going to go back to a sound system of money. I think we're going to go back to a metal-backed currency, right? We don't know how long. The grass will be greener on the other side, but it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. I think we're going to see massive inflation coming up here, and I don't think there's any one kind of cookie cutter way to prepare for this because, again, everybody's different. Some people have kids. Some people don't have kids. Some people live off out in the country somewhere. Some people live in a downtown apartment on the 20th floor. So everybody's got different preparations, different investments, etc., that they should think about doing here because it's going to get really, really crazy in the next few months. I think what's being uncovered again with the audits is going to create a lot of chaos. And I think a lot of people are going to be shocked once they find out what's been happening. A recent article here from Paul Davison, why the tariffs could shock inflation back into existence here. The plan to hit imports from foreign countries with sweeping reciprocal tariffs could nearly double U.S. inflation. Can you imagine if instead of the 3-something%, 2-something%, it's 4 and 5%, which means the real number, if the mainstream number or official number gets to be 5 or 6%, you know that real inflation is between 18 and 24%, right? I think it's about between 2 to 3 times, maybe even 4 times higher than what's actually being reported. The worst case scenario that may be substantially mitigated, the administration has acknowledged that fees at least partly serve as a negotiation tactic among foreign countries to lower their import charges and to tackle deficits. Well, we saw record deficits in the fourth quarter of 2024, and it was no shock, no surprise. We're losing manufacturing jobs still. Some may be coming back, but for the most part, we're losing jobs to countries with a lower cost of living. So that means if the cost of living doesn't come down in the United States, even with the tariffs, how many companies are going to want to come back to the U.S. if they have to pay wages that are triple, quadruple here in the U.S. as they could pay somebody else in another country where people are working for pennies on the dollar? Doesn't make any sense, right? Why would they do that? And when things can be reversed in 4 years with the new administration taking over, why would companies want to come back knowing that the tariffs might just get erased in a few years, right? So I don't think we're going to see this big surge in jobs coming back. That'd be nice. I hope it happens. But I just don't see it just based on, the common sense that I just laid out for you, right? And again, if you disagree about any of this or if you agree, let me know if I'm nailing it. Or if you disagree, let me know why I'm wrong. Why would companies bring jobs back to the U.S. even though the cost of living here is double, triple, quadruple, even higher than it is in many of these other countries that we've been losing our jobs to over the past many, many decades? Let me know, why would companies come back here? And if this all could be reversed in a few years, maybe the tariffs will be eliminated here in a few years. The new administration wins, whoever wins in 2028, they reverse all this. Does a company know for sure that these tariffs are just going to be wiped out in the next few years? And why would they come back knowing that, or that? Why would a company come back with that type of uncertainty? That's what I'm trying to say. All right, let me know about this down in the comments, folks. Are you also stepping back from investing because all these audits and everything else happening, the tariffs? A lot of stuff yet to play out. We're going to keep an eye on it here for you. Make sure you subscribe, everybody. As always, keep stacking. Big love. Bye for now. Peace.